This week, the United Nations is holding a special summit to address one of the world's ugliest problems, poverty. 1 in every 3 people lives on less than $1 a day. That's 2 billion people, by the way, in the world. The UN made a list of development goals back in 2000, 10 years ago, the Millennium Development Goals. They wanted to meet them by 2015. They want to address specific problems, 8 of them, to eradicate poverty and making the world a better place. 8 main goals: ending extreme poverty, you can see it there, and hunger, universal primary education, gender equality, reducing child mortality, improving maternal health, combating HIV, AIDS, and other diseases, environmental sustainability, and developing a global partnership for development. Our Mission Possible today thinks that those goals won't just make this world a better place, they help create something called soft power. Now, soft power, if you look in the dictionary, is the ability to achieve goals without force. It's not weapons or coercion or things that force someone into something. And this week's UN summit may be a key to wielding our soft power. Major John Reddy is a retired Army Reserve Major. He's here in New York. Major, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are an advocate. You're wearing the badge of something called ONE. Tell us about that.
Yes, it's a grassroots advocacy group, 2 million members strong. And their main mission, our main mission, is to combat poverty around the world. Lack of water, lack of medicine, and to help underdeveloped countries.
The idea that you've been in the military.
Yes.
You have served in Iraq.
Yes, I did.
But you feel that our power, the soft power, could even be a bigger force.
No, I've seen it myself. When I got back from Iraq, I was looking for something like ONE to get involved with. Because I've seen it myself, the use of soft power. I was a civil affairs officer over there, and I was executive officer of a CA battalion. And one of the villages around the Baghdad International Airport, they had no running water, they had no sewer, their canals were backed up, and there was no way to effectively irrigate their crops, because they had been neglected underneath the Saddam regime.
Yeah.
So with confiscated money, our civil affairs specialists acted as project managers, and over the next 2 months, we rebuilt their water and sewer lines, and we opened up their floodgates for the canals.
And we've heard, for instance, in Afghanistan, that kind of thing, improving people's lives, their education, their health, their accessible water, is going to win the hearts and souls of people, possibly much more effectively than military force will.
Exactly. And this was a perfect example of that, because there were some friends of ours, an active duty unit. They were getting ready to redeploy home, and they were headed just before the night before. They had their vehicles all lined up at a logistical base near the airport, and they were getting ready to line up and head south on the MSR, main supply route, to Kuwait. And a village elder from that village came to the gate with a map. He couldn't speak a word of English, but they got a translator, and they found out that some insurgents had buried some rocket launchers, grenades, machine guns, AK-47s in his field. So a reaction force went down there, and they caught them just before they started the ambush. And if they hadn't done that, there would have been probably 300 soldiers killed that morning as they were getting ready to leave.
Wow. It's interesting hearing a military man talk about that, because what you do in the military is so specific and so definite and has an end result. And here, when you're talking about soft power, you're talking about a movement that's trying to win over hearts and minds of people to subscribe to it. I guess the question I have is, when you look at these Millennium Development Goals, the meeting that the UN is having 10 years into these very, very big goals, I think the world falls into 2 kinds of people: those like you, or others I've talked to from ONE, or people involved in the Millennium Development, or people like Ted Turner, people like Muhammad Yunus, who think you can actually solve things like world hunger and disease and the passage of HIV, and then those who think you can't. What do these meetings do? What tangibly happens to make the soft power work?
Well, if you have enough people like myself and the other members of ONE who have actually had experience on the ground, we can prove to the world powers that this can be accomplished.
Yeah.
The village elder, who I talked about before, they asked him why he did that, why he turned the bad guys in. And he said, because the American soldiers came to my village and they got my water back, and I can grow crops. And they were talking about us, but he was referring to the U.S. Army.
Right.
And that's just one instance where it wasn't on a global level, but a lot of Americans' lives were
But this will be
spared.
one. All of these challenges, these Millennium Development Goals will be won on individual levels in many cases. Great to see you, Major. Thanks very much. Major John Reddy is retired Army Reserve Major, and he is with ONE. We talked to you a little bit earlier this week about ONE. For more information on it, go to CNN.com.